Greetings, it's a timeshare traveler. Today is episode 282. That's getting harder to do the bigger the numbers get. Um, this is double your vacation and use less points. So the combination of doing both getting a free week and also using less points, how to optimize that. So again, I'm using Vino Bello, using my world mark one bedroom example, but all this process is the same regardless of what timeshare you own, and the nuances are different, but you should always follow this process. So the first thing I always do is I look for rental options. Then I look at, okay, inside the timeshare, what are all my booking options? And this is after I've decided when I want to go. Then how do I book 1 week with points? So that way I can sort of stay 1 week free and pay for my 1 week. And again, this is all about maximizing your use of timeshares, and you don't have to use your points all the time. So whenever people want you to buy more, you don't necessarily need to buy more if you're creative and find ways to leverage other capabilities that the timeshares offer to get you free weeks and so forth. Then you do that. And then how to earn the free points. Well, and here's the bottom line of what I wanted to show you is, and I'll show you the rental options, but I'm basically in a room for 2 weeks at $90 a night, and this rents easily over almost close to $500 a night if you were to try to book it online. So I'll go through that when I look at the rental options, but I wanted to get you that so that way you can follow this all the way through, just to give you an example of how you can really reduce your costs. That's literally a 20% what the rental costs would be. So let me jump into the rental cost just to show you what I did. Okay, so let's look at rental, and again, I'm sticking to the one bedroom at Vino Bello. So I checked the RCI and interval for extra vacations and getaway. None of them existed for the period. That doesn't mean it's sometimes it does exist, so never hurts to check, but it didn't work. And I was looking for a time in November of 2025. Then I went to TripAdvisor to see what the booking sites would show. So that way you don't even have to be a timeshare owner or anything like that. What does it look like? And a weekly refundable rate was $3,883 a week, and the non-refundable was $3,289. That included the resort fees. So just to give you that's my baseline number. I know I can easily beat that, but let's work at that. So then I checked the Wyndham Rewards site because I happen to have a Wyndham Rewards, which is part of the Wyndham program. And their daily night rate for the regular was $34.23. So they seem, for whatever reason, to be able to beat TripAdvisor. That must be their booking fee on top. I don't know what it is. And then the non-refundable was $29.05. So they're already, just by having a Wyndham Rewards account, I reduced the cost to stay there. So there you go. That's kind of like, I always look at that because that's my basis upon kind of the worst case scenario, and that's if you're not a timeshare owner. You can still have a Wyndham Rewards account and not be a timeshare owner. So that's what it costs to stay at the Vino Bello. It's an amazing place, by the way, and I have a review of it, which I'll put in the description. Okay, here's where it gets a little technical if you're not a timeshare owner, but so now I'm looking at my booking options. So that's the first thing, is there's multiple ways to book within the timeshare industry and different based on resorts. So I looked, so first of all, World Mark owners can book Wyndham Resorts, which is part of the same family, but you have to use what they call Club Pass. It turns out during the period I was booking it, the one bedroom goes for 14,100 credits plus the $79 Club Pass fee. I think it's comparable to the Wyndham if you have Wyndham points, and probably greater availability, which is you'll see. The maintenance fee is about $100 per 1,000 credits, so that made the cost of $1,545, which is already almost, I think it's less than half of what it is to rent it. So owning a timeshare, that's just owning the timeshare option, you end up quite a bit ahead of booking it online or so forth. So the only challenge, though, is when you're using Club Pass, it's not always available. It was available earlier in the year, I sort of was looking further out, but on March 1st it went away. So they changed what's the availability. I think they're looking at what's going to happen throughout the year. It may come back, depending on if there's a lot of bookings, or as it gets closer, they may open up some inventory for Club Pass. So I also looked at RCI Exchange, and there it's 9,000 credits plus the $299 booking fee and the $56 resort fee. I happen to use Hilton points, which is another even more wrinkly complication, but just keeping it within 1 point, because it was actually cheaper using my Hilton points versus the WorldMark credits. So, but anyway, that totaled up to $1,255. So obviously that's what I was going to do, but it's non-cancelable, and I'm not planning to cancel, and no plans. So I went with that option for one of the weeks, so $1,255. So now I'm pretty happy with that. That got me down to roughly a third of what the rental costs were, and that's the value of owning a timeshare, but also the value of checking all the options within your timeshare to see A, availability, and B, double check what the prices are, because I was just by checking the exchange, I was actually able to save almost $300, which is significant. That's turns into, in a 7-night stay, that's almost $50 a night, is it? Yeah, almost $50 a night, more like 40, but that's pretty substantial for in my book. Okay, let's talk about booking free. There's nothing better than free, and that's using Wyndham Rewards. Has free nights that include using them at timeshares. It's 15,000 points for a free night in a 1-bedroom. You have the earner card, you get 10% off that, so it only takes 13,500 points. Highly recommend the earner card, like I have. So that means 1 week in a 1-bedroom is 94,500 points, and that includes the fees, so it's even better. And it turns out 1 week was available on the Wyndham Rewards the week after I was going to stay there, so I went ahead and booked it. But remember, I always say take the points when doing an owner update, and that's between 20 and 30,000 points for an owner update. And that's way better, than, as you can see, than taking the $125 fee, because we talked about it being $3,000 plus for the week. So that takes an awful lot of $125 gift cards to get there versus doing the owner update. The other thing is I use the Wyndham Rewards card to save money and just use it for basic expenses. And I'll show you how you can do that. And it's a card with no fee. So anyway, let me jump to that. Okay, I want to go through the basic, just living expenses. Use the earner card to earn points. And I have the base card with no annual fee. It gives me 5 points for Wyndham hotels. That includes maintenance fees on the timeshare, 5 points on gas, 2 points on groceries, and 7,500 points if I spend $15,000. So, which I'll go through what I spend, and it gets me to pretty close to 15,000. So incidentally, I'll end up with 15,000. So I get the 7,500. So example, and this is 63,900 points a year. Your mileage may vary, but I have 65,000 credits that I pay maintenance fee, and it's about $100 per thousand. So that's about $6,500 a year, and that's 33,000 points that I earn in a year just paying my maintenance fees with the credit card. And then I budget $50 a week for gas, which when you do it 52 weeks a year, that equals 13,000 points. See how quickly they add up. $100 a week for groceries. I think that's way conservative, but as I do the $50 a week for gas, and that's approximately 10,400 points a year. And I do make the 15,000, because even if you do the gas and groceries, if you do it $150 a week, you're almost at 15,000 by the end of the year. So just a little bit more than that, and you're going to end up with the 7,500 points. All totals the 63,900. So 200 owner updates, and I just split in the middle at 50,000. That's enough for a week. So I didn't do anything special to get to the week. I just own my timeshares, and I go to a couple owner updates a year, and I end up with a free week at a resort that's would cost me $3,000 a week to rent. So that, again, that's how I get to the bottom line. of $12.55 or $90 a night for 14 days, the equivalent of. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll tell you a little bit about my channel so you can see if you want to subscribe. And best of luck. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com.